Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acomb, and we are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio. And in that studio, James Kuhl. Thanks for being back on the show.
Thank you for having me, Frank. Good morning.
I have to do the disclaimer. Disclaimer, I am an Irwin resident. I'm on the Irwin Town Board with you, proudly on the board. So what I've done with you and your opponent is come up with essentially the same questions to keep it as fair as possible, because you are running for re-election to legislature in the District 12, which is Irwin. Okay. Whew. Got that out of the way. All right. I know you've been on the program back during the primaries, but tell us a little bit about you and your background.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks for having me on again, Frank. I'm a proud member of the Irwin community, and my wife and I moved here about 10 years ago now, and we're raising our three boys are here, and I have been lucky enough to serve on the town board for the past 4 years, as well as in the county legislature for the past 4 years, and it's been great. That's the thing. Yeah, I can only just say how honored and privileged I am to have had this chance to serve. And so originally, born and raised in Steuben County, and like I said, I've been here. I work for a business consulting company and technology company out of Horseheads. But yeah, this is I'm also a Little League coach and the Cub Master for Cub Scout Pack 79.
Yeah. I was going to ask, because last time you were on, you were saying the Little League team was doing pretty good this year. So how's it looking?
We ended up winning the division, so it was exciting. And then we had a great season in All Stars as well. So it's been a lot of fun, and it's a wonderful organization. I hope a lot of people have had a chance to experience that.
Now you're running for re-election, but originally, why did you decide to run in the first place? Going back 4 years.
Going back 4 years. So I was raised to understand what a community means and how important it is. And that's really why when we moved here, I figured out how to just raise my hand. Yeah. So when we got here, I joined the planning board. The town of Irwin will find you a home if you're willing to put yourself out there. And so that was a great place for me to learn what's going on in the town, make some
that's a
connections.
Pulse. That's a pulse
exactly.
Of the town.
I mean, that's really where it doesn't matter if you're a business, if you're a local resident, you want to do something on your land, you want to buy new land, you want to subdivide, stuff like that. So it does provide a really good entry into what's going on in the town. And then from there, the town board and the legislature seat opened up, and it was really kind of saying, how else can I help? And I thought I was in a position to really be effective from day one, knowing what was happening in Irwin, being able to represent them at the county. And so that's why I stepped forward.
When you look at your past 4 years, I know there's always a learning curve, and that type of thing. Do you look back and say, okay, now I have new goals, we reached some of our goals. What has that 4 years look like?
Well, things are going to evolve. My goals, it's really about trying to, why I'm running now is to build on some of the successes and the momentum that we've been able to accomplish over the past 4 years. And challenges remain, but also there are ways that we've started to address some of those and really try to get some wins for Irwin and for Painted Post and Steuben County as well. So it's about trying to understand what are the challenges that our residents and neighborhoods are facing. What can we do in the limited fashion that we are allowed to at the county or at the town to be able to help.
What do you see the next 4 years? What do you see as the biggest issues you'll be facing?
I think right off the bat, and I said it during the primaries, as I'm going around, it is affordability. We are just squeezed here in New York State, and it is trying to. The challenge remains of how do you make a dollar go as far as possible, and it's getting harder. And we just had a budget workshop yesterday at the county, and it is trying to make those dollars go as far as they can without having to raise taxes. So it's about cutting unnecessary spending. It's about reducing the waste. It's about trying to be as innovative around how to deliver the services that we need for the most efficient way possible.
I don't envy you at the budget workshops and today's climate, because it's tough because the state has given us so many mandates.
It's true. It's true.
And people don't accept that as a reason.
And those costs go up, right? And so when we're talking about affordability, it's really trying to say, how do you keep people here without saying that there are better places to go. So in my mind, the goal is always try to make Irwin and Painted Post just a great place to live, raise a family, and try to thrive. And in order to do that, we have to be as cost conscious as possible.
Sure.
So trying to keep taxes low and cutting that unnecessary spending is really going to be one of the challenges. I'd say one of the next ones, if you don't mind.
No, please do. No.
is what I'm hearing is also transportation.
Yes.
We are challenged in Steuben County, in this area, around transportation. It affects businesses, it affects residents, it affects how you can get to grocery shop, how you can get to work. And that is going to be one of our priorities going forward is how do you solve that problem, and how do you just work towards it? And I think we're starting to take the right steps to focus on it.
And Steuben's so large and so
huge.
rural.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. But if it was living here in Irwin or Corning, how do I get to Hornell?
Yeah.
Right, if I didn't have a car. So it's one of those things of how do we start to try to connect and the whole county together so that when you are a business or if you are a resident, how do you start to take advantage of some of the natural resources and the assets that we have here, which are amazing, to be able to say, maybe if I didn't have a car, I can still be part of this community.
Right. And now in the news at night, we talking about Irwin, proactive in a way with the issue of flooding, because we just recently cleaned up, and I'm very proud of that.
Absolutely.
Because I think we have taken, as a county, a little bit, and I don't want to put blame, I shouldn't put it that way, but the flooding is constantly a news story every year in the county. Now, I know Irwin, we've been very lucky, we've been proactive, but this is something you have to be concerned at the legislative level.
No doubt.
Yeah.
We have a levee system in the county.
Yeah,
I mean, you see it when you drive on our highways, and that's where we actually have levees. There are so many streams and creeks and rivers throughout that are not protected that way.
Right.
So we do need to focus and build up that flood resiliency, and the county has started to take steps. It is a priority to invest in trying to build that those protections in place, because it just isn't right for someone to live in a place where if there is a couple bad storms, you may be waking up in water, and that's not any way to live. And so the county certainly is starting to look at, and has been, but with partnerships and making investments into soil and water, and trying to get DEC, and working with FEMA, and working with the Army Corps of Engineers. Right. So federal, state partners, as well as what we can do here at the county to really try to focus on how do we help. And then obviously in Irwin, it hasn't been as large, but we are also impacted by weather, and we're seeing windstorms, we're seeing tons of debris.
Yeah.
We've got a very wooded, wooded town, and so it's impacting us as well. Maybe not with the water, but with the extremes aspects. And so we do need to take, and the county has also started proactively cutting dead trees throughout county roads.
Yeah.
I think they've taken thousands and thousands of trees. So it's a hats off to the county public works doing that and getting ahead of it.
And next question in the news, obviously we brought this up in the past, but it is the biggest news story in Steuben County with the sheriff. Your thoughts on this moving forward? Obviously the appeal, but there's no new information. So just your thoughts.
Yeah, as far as I follow the news as much as you do, and my position on that goes back to that affordability. It is how do we reduce liability exposure wherever it may be at the county, and so it's really around trying to reduce that so that it doesn't roll back onto the taxpayer. But but that doesn't mean I haven't supported the sheriff in terms of his law enforcement responsibilities. I've voted to increase pay for the sheriff deputies by over 30%, reduce the numbers of years of service for them to be able to retire, voted to increase the sheriff's salary as well. And in Irwin especially, we've added 2 more, and I voted to support 2 more deputies on the road patrol, because in Irwin, obviously, we don't have a local police force. So we rely on the sheriff's department and the state troopers to be able to respond to any criminal activity in our area. So it's very much, I think, it's going to go forward. It is what it is now, but at this point, I want to say that it is. it's an issue that, unfortunately, I don't think I can take any more action on at this point.
So last time we talked, it was the summer. Now we had primaries. How's the campaign been going? Because now you're in general election mode.
I mean, time has flown by.
I know.
Here we are in October. We're 3 weeks from Election Day. And so the campaign, I'm hearing a lot of support.
Good.
And I appreciate all the support I've been getting. It's really about trying to continue to go out, meet with residents so that we can understand what is on your plate, what is your priority, so that I can take that back to the county, so I can take that to the town. Because going back to why I ran, I felt that I could be effective because I understood what was important to the town and to our residents. So that's really around trying to understand, how do I continue to be effective, working for the populations that we have are in need, supporting our veterans, supporting our law enforcement, also trying to support our youth. There's a number of places, but it's really around trying to understand and be that voice that we need at the county level.
What have you found as you're knocking on doors, you're talking to the constituents? What has been the biggest concerns from voters, or is it kind of a hodgepodge?
I would say, when I knock on a door, it's really around, I do hear, as it comes back to taxes and affordability, and costs are going up. There's so much that we can do at the county level. I'm working right now on trying to introduce a new property tax exemption for first-time homeowners. We've been able to increase the eligibility for property tax exemptions for veterans, for those with disabilities, for seniors, for first responders. Right? There are ways that we can try to help reduce the burden, and that's important to me.
So what's your campaign look like from here on out? Like you said, 3 weeks, which is impossible. You pretty much keep doing the same thing at this point.
It really is. Just try to stay out, knocking on doors. I'm going to try to have a couple of events just to open.
Last minute.
Yeah, exactly. Last minute, just to say. But I know people are busy.
Right?
I mean, in Scouts and with youth sports,
and this time
it's really
of year,
trying to schedule things, and you just hear there are no available days.
Right.
So it's just trying to take the time that I have and meet as many people as possible, and just let them know that I'm here to listen. I'm here, it's very important to me to actually be a representative of those in this town.
Here's a question this sprung up with your opponent, and I don't know why, but I should really ask everybody this, because I think it's an issue overall with the general election. How do you get the people out to vote? I mean, that's got to be one of your biggest challenges, right?
I think you just have to remind them of the privilege that they get, and it's hard to say we don't have a voice when you do have at least one day a year that you can go and say, this is somebody that I think will do a good job for me. And that's really around reminding people, is just saying, here is when it is, because sometimes it gets lost, and we're trying to. And the fact that it's a Tuesday, November 4th.
And early voting starts soon.
Early voting starts on October 25th, right? So and so you'll have about 2 weeks to.
And you can go right over to the library.
Yep, the library there. Yep.
No longer just go to the.
And so it's really trying to say, if something is important to you, talk to a candidate, talk to me, and that way we can see if we can work together on trying to solve any issue.
How would you, or what would you tell people that want to find out more about you, maybe do want to help, do want to get a yard sign, something like that? What should they do?
Well, they can go to my website. That's one place,
screen,
jameskuhlforerwin.com. I also have a Facebook page, James Kuhl for Irwin, if you search through there. Also, my cell phone and my email are available both on those and also through the county website. So if you do have something you would like to speak about, no matter what, please reach out. It's very important to me that I'm able to understand what's important to you, so that I can go and speak on your behalf. That's how I found to be the most effective voice, is to understand what is happening here at the town level.
All right, before people go to early voting or they wait till November 4th to vote, what do you say to those voters?
I say thank you for the privilege to serve you for the last 4 years, and I would like to do 4 more, because I think there's still more work to build on. We've been able to do some good stuff here at getting some youth sports money and some infrastructure, improvements over at the fields in Kinsella Park. We've been trying to engage veterans about the benefits that are available to them. Just recently held a small business roundtable here in Irwin to talk to business owners about what's important to them, what are the challenges they're facing. So if you need an effective voice in Bath on behalf of the town of Irwin, that's me.
Great. Well, James, thanks so much for being on the program. Let's do this again before Election Day. How's that?
That would be great. Thanks,
All
Frank.
right. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking.